Let us now go to Shivaji Dasgupta for a fireside chat with Sameer Satpathy, Chief Executive Personal Care ITC.
Thank you very much, Akanksha, for the introduction. And it's truly a pleasure to welcome Sameer Satpathy, Divisional Chief Executive, Personal Care at ITC Limited, to talk really about the content, the business of content. And I would just like to start off with a very fundamental question from your experience. Um, what drives what? Is it business imperatives which is driving content marketing today, or is it really content marketing which is allowing us to shape certain business imperatives as we go forward?
I think I'll just take the question a little differently. I think we are living in very interesting times. Previously, when you went back, I'm going back when I was a brand manager 15, 20 years back. You had very limited avenues to express your brand. So
Right.
you made one TVC, which you worked for the entire year. You spent 3 months to 6 months strategizing on it. You made 30-second content, and then you moved on. If you got it right, great. If you didn't, you had a bad year, right? So it was difficult. There was a bit of print,
Yeah.
PR once in a while, but that was it. Today, marketers and agencies have the skill. If they have the skill and they have the commitment, they can recreate their brand in many ways. It's the same thing which you see in art. Previously, art was about a 2 by 2 canvas. Today, expression of idea is not limited to the canvas, but can go anywhere. So it is left to your imagination. So obviously, you need to be creative. You need to be committed, and your brand has to have an idea it wants to express. So it must have something it wants to say. If you have these things in place,
Right.
the world's your oyster, and you can make things happen the way you want to.
Perfect. In fact, there is one conversation when I speak to a lot of senior CXOs like yourself. Which really is the debate between is content communication or is content, experience building or customer engagement, and where do modern corporations really pitch content at?
I think they're putting labels, uh, and rightly or wrongly so, because it's a confusing world. So you put labels on things and say, and sometimes the label becomes larger than what you're attempting to do. And I think that's the case with many of things, and we tend to jargonize stuff. If you take a step back, what are we trying to do? We're trying to say there's an idea. Uh, the idea needs to, we need consumers, or in some ways viewers, to buy into that idea. Because they buy into the idea, they remember you, they love you, and sometimes they buy you. So that's the way at least I think about it. I sometimes don't understand a lot of the fancy jargon out there, but I think I just look at it in this manner.
And that's wonderful. I think it's a very, very simple and effective way to approach this new age, new confusing age at large. We would love to hear from you, one or two cases of where you've done some interesting work on content in your portfolio,
Yeah.
and how that's a great lesson for marketers and students across the universe.
I don't know what the great lesson part of it, but it's. I'll just give you an example of uh, of maybe an idea, how an idea can be expressed. And it's how a team can take an idea, keep building on it. So in this case, you did not start with the complete idea. You started with one part of it, you built on it till it became more and more complete, is the way I would put it. So if you remember, Engage, which is one of our brands, had pioneered the
Right.
launch of a pocket fragrance. So it had taken the market by storm. It was something which everybody was carrying in their pocket. It was the buzziest kind of thing happening, and a lot of young people were using it out of home. So the team came up with an idea. He said, "Hey, I have a pocket fragrance. It's a small pocket. I want to express that idea in a better manner." And the brand is positioned on, on playful romance. So, and you took an idea which was it's popular with the TG, which is teenagers, is writing slam poetry. Writing 3 or 4 lines
Okay.
like a haiku, and exchanging thing. So can we write? When can we get people to express the pocket in a small Twitter kind of uh, manifestation? So we ran that, and suddenly we realized we had. I remember the first year because I remember the numbers distinctly. 11,000 poems came to us, and some of them were not bad. You looked at it, you say, "Hey, it's not bad. It's worthy of publishing." So we said, "Hey, it's worthy of publishing." Then we said, "How do we publish? We're not a publisher. Content and all is fine. Everybody talks about content-driven strategy and all that, but this is actually content, right? So how do you publish a book? And we wanted to do it in the right manner. So we said, "Hey, we went to Penguin. We talked to them. They were very sweet. They said, 'Yeah, you can do it, but you need to combine it with something else.'" So we got an author, Durjoy Datta. Durjoy is very popular with young girls and young boys. He writes about romance. He writes about that age. So we got him, and he had done some work in this area. So we said, "Hey, can you be the person who picks the poems? You know the vibe, and can it be something which comes from with you?" So there we were. We started with something, and we published the book. And lo and behold, it went up on the bestseller list. So we actually did content, which means somebody paid us to read us. And in India, I firmly believe books is something which we don't throw, and all of us are guilty of it. Our houses are overflowing with books we read when we were in school. And like my mother keeps cribbing about all these books which I don't let her throw even now. I said, no, just keep them. I'll pick them up the next time. So it's a story in everybody's house. So here you have a
Correct.
book, and book stays forever. So you have something which is about your brand, which expresses your brand idea, which a consumer has paid money, and so many consumers have actually have participated, right? So and then we followed it up with book readings. So we had Dojoy going around to different towns, and he was having sellout crowds. He's a bit of he's got a bit of a fan following. So we'd like to believe we contributed to it, but yes, it was obviously Dojoy's pull. But there was a bunch of young kids coming to listen to him and listen to the book. So now the question is, if you ask me, did we have this as part of content strategy right in the beginning? But no. But I think what good managers do, what good brand managers, good marketing people do, is that they take a thread and keep building on it. And as you build on it, it becomes stronger. And the commitment also becomes stronger. And if you do it the right way, the sky's the limit. So one thing led to the other, and then we obviously re-released the poems which came back on Twitter. People followed it, people had comments on it, and so on and so forth. So here it was, in a very classical manner. We had content coming in from consumers, which is going back to consumers in various means, and that also set up our second book, because that time we launched a two-in-one product. So we had a slightly different theme, but we did something which built on it. So it's become a kind of property which looks extremely interesting. And you say, hey, it can be done. But did we? And I'll be honest enough to say we didn't know it on day one. But the question is, you have to keep pushing on what you have, and possibilities keep opening up. But you need to be committed to the core and take it to the logical level and do it right.
I think that's a great learning that you see it through. Actually, whatever you have a great idea, you see it through. And this was obviously a case where this initiative was spectacularly successful and created conversations with customers. The question I have for you now is that for a routine, let's say, content marketing program, how do you measure effectiveness? I mean, considering that today we're living in a world of performance and measurability, how do you isolate the impact, vis-a-vis other media? Is there anything that you can recommend to the world as a good way of doing it?
So I only have advice over here, and it's a point of view. If you and I'm just using a word, so so the when if it's doing something which is routine, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Fantastic.
There's no point doing it because you're just wasting your time and everybody else's time. Because the consumer also doesn't want to see routine stuff. Today, and for a few years, the consumer has choice to spend his or her time on things which she likes and she's interested in. If you are not interested in what you're putting out, you may as well as not put it out because nobody else is going to read it, except maybe your legal folks who may have read through it to sign it off. So please don't do it.
No, absolutely. But generally on measurability, what's your worldview on this? For
See, in
example.
measurability, the thing is that's the point. I think the point I was building to was that if it is interesting and it's big, or you make it big, it impacts the brand. It impacts the brand with either with your where do you want to impact your brand? Ideally, you want to impact the belly of your market. The problem which happens, which I think, which is the constraint which most people work with, is that you never have that much money, at least not in the beginning, to do that. But at least it should impact your lead consumers. So your cutting edge consumers, your consumers who are fence setters, who are people you want, or who are opinion makers. You want to influence them. So you have to influence somebody. You can't say that, hey, it's so good that influences nobody, right? So
Absolutely.
that I think has to be there, and if it's the brand idea, right, and it's you're expressing a brand idea and you're doing it well, it influences people to do look at your brand in a slightly different manner.
Great. A lot of content marketing cases that we see today is still designed towards urban audiences, metro audiences. I think that's the way it has, initially kind of taken off, because of the convenience of the medium, convenience of access. Now the role of content marketing in the tier 2 to 3 or 4 downwards strata conversation. Um, your views, any cases that you can think of, and what else can people do?
I think the geography is no longer, I think, what you might be referring to. I think you might be referring to is English versus vernacular.
That
Because because the medium cuts, today people have access, people have phones, people have access to what you're putting out, right? So there's a larger audience in the vernacular side, and that's a demographic fact, right? uh, a lot of the content pieces right now also have been done by young urban brands, so you have to be a little hip and savvy about it. But at least I know of a few programs which go deep in. For example, uh, in my previous company, which is Marico, we did some stuff. I won't talk about it because maybe not be right now. For me, it's been some years, but I can talk about something which we are doing in Savlon. Savlon, as you know, has done extremely well over the last few years, especially in the pandemic. It's done extremely well. It's really grown a lot. The fundamental reason why it is done so is the groundwork which we had done before for the last 4 or 5 years. We were going to approximately 5,000 schools. Over there, we were teaching young children that are up to class 5 good hygiene habits, how to wash your hands, etc., etc. Now we had to, one is to walk into a school and say, please wash your hands because it causes disease. The other way is to make it memorable so that kids remember it, and because they remember it and they like it, they kind of play it back and they do that. So we did a lot of work on ground, which involved some very interesting pieces. Some of it you might have heard of because it was a little more awarded, so as to speak, was the chalk stick, right? The Savlon healthy hand
that's
chalk
right.
sticks. But we did a lot of things after that also. Uh, so so it works, and you if you like in the principle remains the same. You have a problem, consumer problem, or you have a positioning you want to take or a consumer problem you want to solve, if you do it in a nice manner, in a manner which the consumer wants to listen to you, you have a great interface, they remember you. And at some point, they award you for it. Now, the question which you are asking is, which you asked me before, was how do you see impact? Well, simply put, the places, the districts in where we did a lot of schoolwork versus the districts we did not, our growths were approximately 2.5x. So it is that uh, it's that valuable if you do it well and you do it on scale. Yes.
Great. My last question actually was on voice, video, and vernacular, and you've actually captured the vernacular part of it, very correctly. Any thoughts on
Yeah.
video versus, writing and so on and so forth? Does voice and video become an accelerator for content or so on?
Today, video makes it more accessible. We know that consumers, it's an old. I remember seeing this. I think it was an American movie some years back, 15, 20 years back, and the guy tells his kid that, have you read the book? He said, maybe I will when they make a movie about it. But that is true for our children today.
Absolutely.
Right? So video makes it accessible, makes it easier, and whether we like it or not, the way people think and the way people look at knowledge itself has changed. The way it is impacting education, it's impacting other things. We are already seeing the first signs of it, right? Khan Academy, Byju's, they're just the beginning. But the way we access ideas is going to be in a medium which makes it the easiest. So it's like somebody maybe 1,000 years back said, in our times we had to learn the Mahabharata by rote. So I said, no, I don't have to do it. I have a book now. Now the equivalent of the movie has come in. So, and I don't know where it'll go. Maybe you'll get into a virtual reality kind of space wherein you can play your character, your favorite character in the movie. God knows, but yes, it's moving on, and film is a little more effective than the written word for the new generation.
Fantastic. And I think the last point you touched on technology. Technology can actually take this whole world of content to the next level of, taking it to customers in a far more endearing manner. So thank you very much for your time, Sameer. It's really been a pleasure, and I'm sure your learnings will be loved by everyone who's going to watch this content. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Adiraj. Thank you very much. It was very nice of you guys to have me over, and wish you all the very best. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much.